Hey guys, it's Adam. I want to take a moment and personally thank you for listening to our shows, for downloading our shows, and for sharing them with your friends. With your guys' support, we just moved the Twisted 10 into the threshold of the top 100 comedy shows in iTunes. It made it to number 99, granted, just barely crept in there. However, that's still monumental for us. Out of the tens of thousands of podcasts that are out there, that's one of the most difficult categories to breach into. Thank you very, very much for helping us to get there. If you haven't already done so, please go give us a 5-star rating and give us a review, a short little 1-line, 2-line review, letting us know that you enjoy the show. iTunes reviews are like podcast currency. It legitifies the show, it allows us to get better guests, and it allows our sponsors to really see that we're reaching the listeners that are out there. If you haven't done so yet, please go do it. We would greatly appreciate it. We've got a ton on the horizon from Dichotomy Media, a lot more on our YouTube channel, more Get Out Penny cartoons, all sorts of stuff. So please help us by giving us that 5-star rating and a little review. Thank you very much and enjoy the show.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. All 3 engines up and burning. 2, 1, 0, and liftoff.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You're listening to the Twisted 10, bringing you original and unique, host-created top 10 lists, recorded live in world-famous Cocoa Beach, Florida, with hosts Tach Van Sickle and Adam Poston.
And welcome to another exciting episode of the Twisted 10.
Aw, yeah.
All right, and I am one of the co-hosts, but I'm not the host today. My name is Tach.
How you doing, Tach? I am Adam, and as well, I am not a host of this show today. I am an observer and a supporter and a listener.
Well, that must mean that Jay?
No, Jay's gone, and Andrea's in Italy. She's told us 100 times.
Andrea's in Italy.
Yeah, she's in Italy.
I thought so. I wasn't sure. I remember hearing it somewhere, but I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Jay's got his busy schedule, but we've got some good folks to fill their shoes tonight.
Indeed we do. Over here to the left, he's been a friend of the show. I'm not sure if he's been on Twisted 10, has he?
Yeah, he did a Twisted 10.
Oh, that's right. I wasn't here for that one, remember?
Tach.
Therefore, it didn't happen. Ray Burrito is back with us.
Hi.
Good job.
How's it going?
Perfect.
Thanks, Dad.
I know you've never been on a podcast before, Ray.
And we have a rookie to the air.
Rook.
It's somebody that we met online through our circle of friends that are stand-up comics, and just I met her. And actually, I think it was Johnny and Jimmy that it turned us on to this
I think it was
person.
Jimmy mostly. Yeah,
was it Jimmy?
Yeah.
All right, but joining us tonight for her first time on air and going to help us with some of the stuff behind the scenes is Miss Marilyn Costa.
Hey, happy to be here.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for coming up.
Absolutely.
Hey, rookie, let's try to get a little closer to that mic, okay? Thanks a bunch.
But neither one of them are hosts, Tach.
No, nobody's
So-
host. So, obviously, we have somebody up on the screen.
That's
I
right.
don't know if you guys noticed, but okay,
That
waving
where I get
doesn't
to
work
say that
on a
you can-
podcast.
You can't see it, but I'm waving.
Yeah, you can't wave on a
Audio
podcast.
commentary.
I know,
Yes.
Amy, it's your first time on a podcast too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Right. But no, our guest tonight, now correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think I did some good homework here, has written for The Daily Beast, National Geographic, Discovery News, Scientific American,
Good gracious.
Ars Technica, did I say that right?
Yep.
Al Jazeera English, and Popular Science.
Among others, yes.
Yes, and she was the co-host for Discovery Channel's online D News channel.
Still am. Well,
Still
now
am?
it's called Seeker, so,
Gotcha.
you know.
She is also a space flight historian, YouTuber, and podcaster, best known for writing the book Breaking the Chains of Gravity, and her YouTube channel Vintage Space, and now a part of Discovery Magazine, which we're going to talk about later. Please welcome the very talented, very busy Amy Shira Teitel.
Woo! Thank you for joining us, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me on board tonight, you guys. This is going to be fun.
That's quite a resume, I must say.
Yeah, I'm a little intimidated now. Tach, does she know we work for the space companies down here?
Yeah, so I work for SpaceX, and
Yeah, I work over at NASA.
so
Yep.
I don't know. And we just did a launch. Did you happen to catch that on the news?
No.
SpaceX?
Allegedly.
No, I've been. This is the hence, as you might imagine from the list of things you just rattled off. Time is not something I have a lot of. I'm fighting to get some stuff in. I travel every other week, and I'm fighting to get stuff done before I leave in a day and a half. So I haven't actually looked at the news in 3 days, which currently is not necessarily a bad thing. To do with the news.
Have you ever seen a launch from down here at Kennedy Space Center before?
Not.
What?
I have not. Because
You need to get over here. Do you understand that our old launch pad is the old like Apollo and shuttle launch pads?
I've been under that launch pad. I've been in the rubber room under there, but I have never been able to find somebody to sponsor me to take care of the fact that I will be spending a week in a hotel for holds and delays and stuff.
See.
And I've never been able to just take the time off or finance it myself, just kind of vacation sitting on the causeway for a week, hoping something goes. So, yeah, one of these days I'll cover it for something, but
Yeah.
When you make up that decision, if you time it around a launch, Tack and I usually get vehicle passes or get, it's like a 1 out of 5 chance we get them, and we can take visitors right out to the vehicle assembly building to watch the launches right there.
I'd love to watch a launch from the roof of the VAB.
Yeah, and what's really cool right now is when SpaceX, we have that first stage that comes back now and lands.
Oh, that was so cool.
And it's so amazing to see that in person. It looks unnatural, looks like a UFO. So awesome.
Yeah.
And you get the sonic
the
booms.
videos look weird and creepy in like a cool way.
Yes.
You get to hear the booms. It's super nostalgic of the shuttle days way back in the day. And when that first piece comes back down to land, those booms hit you here and where we live here in Merritt Island really hard. And so it's cool to hear.
That's awesome.
Brings a tear to my eye.
Well,
Yeah.
One day I'll see something leave the planet.
Nice. So where's Pete?
No, I think he's on the floor in my bedroom in a corner snoozing. That's one of his spots. He was lying on my arms all day, which has been adorable, but kind of hampers progress on the work that I'm trying to get done by the end of the day. So yeah,
That means progress,
they're awesome,
Adam.
except that they're kind of jerks. But I love them.
Yeah.
Yes, and sorry, and progress is Canadian for progress.
Awesome.
All right, so I got a couple questions for you, Amy. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's start at the very beginning, and we kind of mentioned it already, but where are you from?
I am from Toronto, Canada, eh? Yeah, Toronto. I've been living in the States for, it'll be 8 years, 3 days ago. 5 days ago.
Are you an American citizen or a dual
I am.
citizenship? Oh.
I am. I'm citizen by birth abroad. My mom's from Maine. So that
okay,
made it
cool.
really easy when I just sort of like showed up one day and never left.
That's cool. All right. So you are really into vintage space. Now, where did this love come from? Like, you love Apollo, you love old Saturn V stuff, and
Yeah, all the old things. I love saying it like that. Just old things in space. My love of this started back when I was a wee lass of but 7. And I was doing a second grade science project on Venus. And I just thought Venus was so cool because it's like roughly the same size as the Earth. Not that much further from the sun, or closer to the sun than we are, but it's so super hot with 800 degrees Fahrenheit, I think, somewhere in there on the surface. So it's like on fire-ish.
Yeah.
And its day is a year long, and it orbits around its axis backwards, or rotates around its axis backwards. But it's this little pinpoint of light you can see in the sky. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got this little book. Actually, you guys can't see it because it's a podcast, but you guys can see it. This book called 1,000 Facts About Space that has, I had to dig this up for a thing the other day, that has a little 2-page spread of every planet. And there's a little 2-page spread on the moon, and there was a little picture of 2 astronauts. And I was like, people went to the moon? Why was I not informed? I would like to know about this. And my little 7-year-old brain was just like, this is wild. I want to do that. And I was like, because the moon was always this beautiful romantic thing. I was raised on movies from the 40s, and the Under the Moonlight and all that stuff. And I was just like, are you kidding me? So I just became obsessed with understanding it. And then I fell into I always loved the history and the human side of it more because I'm not super math brained. And was told that I wasn't smart enough to do math. So I sort of fell into history by default. But I realized that telling the stories makes it accessible and makes people excited about it, and is a way to get people interested in caring about science and education. So that's kind of where I've landed for now.
nice. I'm definitely excited about it myself.
I see what you did
See what I
there.
did there? Okay. Awesome. So why not the shuttle missions? You just didn't care about shuttle? You're like, nah, it's too new.
Yeah, I did a video about this on my short-lived personal channel, and I got so much hate. No, for me, like, the shuttle as it was designed, right, was supposed to fly 50 missions a year, was supposed to, like, be constantly launching and recovering satellites and doing all these interplanetary missions and launch multiple missions simultaneously. But it didn't. It was designed before a space station that it could support the building of. And honestly, to me, it's my interest in the shuttle is sort of the transition from Apollo to shuttle and sort of how it was that it ended up as this like a massive space truck when really what we needed was like a mini space van to, actually support manned missions, because, the space shuttle couldn't go anywhere but low Earth orbit. I described it before as like NASCAR for the space age. It just went around and around and around for 30 years. And like it did some amazing things. It launched some amazing missions. It built the ISS and did it did some really amazing things in terms of like developing human space flight. Sorry, I get ADD with cats. But just in terms of like setting us up for progress, for understanding space, and for actually like moving forward, there's nothing more interesting than the Apollo era for me, because you're never going to have that perfect confluence of like an international war that has a technological and science outlet. I mean, you can look at drones and sort of military technology is similar, but it's not like peaceful in the way that space is peaceful. And also the burgeoning technology at the time that made it feasible, and then all the money that made it feasible to actually go to the moon. I mean, that was insane. And that's like a confluence of events that we're not going to see again. Mm-hmm. Maybe we will, but like it's just such a unique moment for space to start with that like there's so much about it that fascinates me. So,
the race for space now more seems to be the fight between, well, I guess not fight, but the competition between NASA and this, but the private sector. The private sector's going to have men in space before NASA will, and I know that's driving NASA nuts. They want to be the ones that relaunch, the U.S. citizens back in space.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not certainly not an expert in space policy, though I, do know a decent amount about it. But it is interesting to sort of look at how sort of, because NASA is a government agency that, every administration changes over what it wants to do. And like Nixon canceled Apollo in part because it was Kennedy's thing and he didn't like Kennedy. So that did a number on space exploration. So when you look at that like NASA is constantly not only fighting the battle of trying to live up to this massive reputation with not a 100th of the budget. I can't math, but like almost no money where it needs to have a lot of money. And also fighting to like evolve every time there's a new president with a new administrator and a new goal. Whereas the private companies don't have to deal with that. They can just do their thing. So it is kind of interesting, and there's a lot more to it. And it is like, that's a fascinating for me, version of like kind of a new space. I wouldn't call it a new space race, but like a new thing. Words are hard sometimes.
I say that all the time.
Yeah, that's tax. That is definitely taxing on our shows. By the way, your Vintage Space YouTube channel is absolutely amazing. I watched a few videos in preparation for your visit on here, and man, you've got some that are really, really popular. Millions of views on some of your videos. That's fantastic.
It's pretty good. I'm honestly always amazed that. Like, I will do a video. I did a video on Project High Water, which is exactly what it sounds like. And, like, I want to say off the top of my head, it was like 62, 61, 63, somewhere in there. They were doing a launch of a Saturn I rocket, and they filled the upper stage with water as ballast. So they decided to release it into the ionosphere to see what happened, because why not? Because in the 60s and in space, this is the other reason I love the 60s in space, is, like, everything was just like, why not? So they did it, and I did this video, and like as I was editing this video and uploading it, I'm sitting there thinking like, this is the stupidest thing in the world. Like, no one's gonna watch this, and it's got like 150,000 views or something, and I don't know why, but I love it. I love that like people are weirdly into all that bizarre minutia. So yeah.
Nice. So, question for you, ready? Mm-hmm. Did Apollo 20 really happen, or was it really canceled? Conspiracy theorists disagree.
Uh-oh.
Have you seen the video that conspiracy theorists say is the real mission footage?
Yeah.
So with the alien woman that like has a waxy face?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like I should narrate this for listeners who have not seen this video. Basically, the short version is that Apollo 20 was a joint Soviet-American mission that took a command module and a lunar module towards the surface to like lasso and harness and lift up an alien spacecraft that was seen in orbital images on the moon on the far side from Apollo 15 or 17. I can't remember which. That didn't happen.
No?
Sorry. I just love the idea that, like, how is NASA going to launch a Saturn V from Kennedy with no one noticing?
Right.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. All right, you guys heard it here first. Conspiracy. Yeah. Yeah, we'll just do it at night. It's quiet. Nobody will notice.
Yeah. When it suddenly turns daylight bright for like 5 minutes,
Yep.
no one will know what's going on. They'll be sleeping.
Yeah. All right. And okay, I have a huge question for you. You've probably been asked this before, but how did you create a career for yourself in an industry that doesn't exist?
No.
It's very impressive.
Thank you. Yeah, it was honestly, I should have an answer to this question by now because everyone wants to know. And unfortunately, my answer is a weird combination of luck and perseverance.
Yeah.
And probably like a bit of talent mixed in there. But
Stop being modest.
Talking about that. No, I think I just, I have this really weird niche passion. And I have an academic background. So I came at this sort of idea of popular science writing with an academic research ability, which lets me dig into all those weird, crazy things that people don't know how to find or don't care to find. Mix that with the fact that, like, I absolutely love what I do. So that means that, like, I don't stop working. So I get a lot of stuff done. But fear is a very good motivator because I do not have a fallback plan. People are like, well, I could always get a job in an office. And I'm like, well, I could always like jump off a bridge. Like, I can't do that. I had an office job for 2 months once, and I will never do it again. I've been actually SpaceX recruited me a few years ago, and I was just like, I can't work in an office. I can't do it. I just love like the freedom of being able to say what I want about this stuff that I've been studying for well over a decade at this point. So yeah, fear is the great motivator, and it sort of just like helped me kind of evolve and adapt to figure out like people like the blog, but more people don't want to read 2,000-word posts. So what if I make a short video about it? Oh, people are watching the videos. Okay, well, let me put more energy into that and learn how to edit. Oh, people actually want like serialized content. Oh, here comes Pete. So then you sort of just like, it's like a mix of motivated by fear and throwing a bunch of shit at the wall to see what sticks and then go with it. Here's Pete.
There's the cat.
And who is Pete named after?
Pete is named after Pete Conrad, the commander of Apollo 12.
Nice.
I told you she's a nerd.
Yeah, she is. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I don't have them. I wasn't drinking out of it today, but I have Apollo commemorative glassware.
That's awesome.
The amount of space nerdery in my house is actually obscene.
Tack, we'll have to go get her a coin from KSC, the Apollo,
okay.
one of the old Apollo coins.
Oh yeah.
Send it up as a thank you for doing the episode.
Definitely. And one last
Good
question.
home in my collection. Yeah.
One last question.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I know you recently got Discover magazine. Am I saying that right? So what's that about?
Discover magazine. So as a blogger, you have that weird thing where like it's awesome if somebody pays you to write your own blog, right? So I started self-hosted in 2010. In 2013, I got picked up at he just woke up from a nap at Popular Science, which was awesome. I was there for almost 3 years. But then networks come and go. It's like anything, a website can shut down. It's just not making enough revenue and yada, yada, yada. So I was kind of sad, and my blog was homeless for about 6 months. And I luckily actually saw an email from an editor there that came through my website contact form, because I don't always check those, because there's a lot of them that come in and I have work to do. But yeah, it was just an opportunity to move the blog over to Discover, which is just a home for it, where I know I'll have more eyes on it and more support, which is just great, because when you know that people are reading your blog, you actually want to write good things, as opposed to when it's self-hosted, you're like, oh, I'll just put like the 200-word little Cole's Notes version and stick a video up there and call it a day. So having support behind my little, because I always say Vintage Space is like my internet baby. Like, this is the thing that I get to do whatever I want. No one can tell me not to do a topic. Anywhere else you've got someone telling you what to do. This one is just like, yep, I get to do it on my own, and now people are going to actually see it and push me to actually make it better and evolve it.
Very cool.
I'm so excited.
Are you still doing the Vintage Space podcast? Because I only saw like 2 episodes up there. And
No, I know I actually had a really good idea for a serialized space history podcast that would just go through mission by mission. I'm giving it away now, but I just don't have bandwidth to do it. No, I wanted to do it and just keep it pretty simple and kind of put the whole story into context. And I thought it'd be fun and relatively easy, but I don't have a production team. My producer is Pete, who doesn't have a thumb. So it's a little bit hard when I'm, the blog and the videos are the ones that are really my little loves on the internet right now. So those are where I'm focusing my energy. And I did a couple episodes of the podcast. And I just couldn't maintain it. It was just way too much. So I have this a not totally space podcast that I do with my buddy Jason, if I can mention it briefly.
Yeah, of course.
It's called the Punk Rocker Moonstomper Podcast, which is about the strangest awkward name you can imagine. But it's all about punk, ska, beer, space, and pets. And basically what we do is have a guest on who does one of those things or crosses a couple of those things, and we have a drink and we just kind of hang out and talk for the length of a beer. And it's all about whatever your nerdery is, because everyone has that nerdery, and it's kind of fun to dig into, like, a musician who secretly is an amateur astronomer and you don't know, and just get nerdy about solar filters all of a sudden. And it's just like, this is kind of wild. Well, here's a new facet to somebody that you thought you might know.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah. And now I don't have to edit that one.
Yeah,
that's the only.
Makes it easy.
Oh, golly.
All right, so you have brought a list with us, and real quickly before we get into that, I just want to point out, if this is your first time ever listening to the Twisted 10, what we do here is we have a guest host, or sometimes one of us will come in with a unique original top 10 list. And what do we do, Adam? We take it, put it in a hot pocket, and then we heat it for about a minute and a half, not 2 minutes, because then you burn your lips. And then we consume it, and then we break it down, and we discuss it. And I got to get better analogies.
That's the longest way around to say we just talk about their list.
Oh, yeah. That's what we do. We just talk about it, and we break it down.
Man.
And so every guest host comes in, they surprise us with a new list, and then we discuss it. So this week, we have Amy here, and she's brought a list for us. So now I think, is it time to hand over?
I think it's time to hand over the keys.
We're going to hand over the metaphorical keys to you, ma'am, and you are all set. Take it away.
Good. I'm going to talk even more now. So my list is I do this weird thing for a little bit of context where I live tweet Apollo missions on their 45th anniversaries, because I'm a nerd, which means I've read all of the transcripts, again, because all the cool kids are doing that. And I've found that there are just these little moments in these transcripts between astronauts, or just like little things that's like throwaway comments, that to me are so indicative of like why this era of history is so much fun for me. So my top 10 list, and I'm looking at it, and I've actually have been unable to get it to 10. It is currently at 11. I will skip one out, and I won't even tell you which one I missed. But it's bizarre things said going to or on the moon. And I'll give you some backstory behind why they're so weird, or why they're kind of so beautiful and amazing. And yeah,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I'm excited.
That's an awesome topic.
Let's get into it.
All right. So, do you want me to give you the quote and then give you the context afterwards? Is that the best way to do this?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd start off saying by number 10, right?
Okay, number 10.
Number 10.
I was just going to leave you hanging on that one.
No, come on. You got to do it too, Adam.
Number 10.
All right.
All right. So this is, I believe his first name is Don. Last name Lind. He was a Capcom on Apollo 12. We're still checking with some people down here whether there's any problem over that tuna fish. But why don't you hold off eating it until we get a better answer for you?
Interesting. And it would be a fun little game if we could figure out what he's talking about.
Probably not tuna. I'm gonna bet.
You think it's not tuna?
Probably
I have no idea.
Oh. Yeah, do you guys have guesses? Do you want to take a stab at what you think the deal is?
So
and if you've read the blog post I wrote about this, no cheating.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm closing those. I've been looking at your YouTube channel and your website for the last little while we've been talking, just to bring up anything that I could find. But Tach seemed to have memorized it all. I don't know how he did that.
Whatever.
Space.
All right, so let's go with Rookie first. What do you say?
Rook?
I'm thinking, I'm hoping maybe they have bigger, concerns than someone's lunch while they're trying to get to the moon, so.
What could the code word for tuna fish be with regards to that? Could they be hiding in the term tuna fish? Does
this have to do with Apollo 13?
Maybe it's a particular batch of water.
Batch of water?
Maybe it's water that they're talking about. Do you think they're really talking about tuna
Wouldn't
fish?
they
I
just say
have no
water, then?
idea. Huh?
Wouldn't they just say water?
Yeah, you would think that. Or maybe it's got to be something that they don't want to say to have...
It's probably just tuna fish at this point.
Yeah.
Like, we're just...
Well, let's not dwell too long. We do have 9 more to
All
go
right,
here,
all right.
so-
Sorry.
All right, Amy.
I am loving the conversation. I'm like kicking myself that I haven't done this as a game before, and I think I might have to do the "What's really going on here" game as like a live stream on Vintage Space someday, and just
Nice.
see what happens.
That's awesome.
I love that. Okay, anyways, okay, so you guys are just plain old tuna fish. So this was on Apollo 12.
It really is tuna.
This was, if you're curious, 57 hours and 29 minutes into the flight. Dick Gordon, the command module pilot, had tuna as one of his lunch items the night before, or maybe this was at a dinner. This was a dinner period, and he'd had it for lunch. And anyways, he had some of the tuna left over, and he wanted to finish eating it. But he wasn't sure what would happen to the tuna in a pure oxygen environment, exposed to pure oxygen for 8 hours. So they asked Capcom, what do you think? Is it safe to eat this tuna? And the smartest men in the world, arguably, with the doctors that were the best in the country, arguably, could not determine whether or not it would be safe for him to eat the tuna. And this conversation went on for over an hour.
God.
And they actually brought in
Wow.
Gordon's then wife to come in and say, please don't eat the tuna. And I actually asked Dick Gordon about this last year when I saw him at an event. And he told me that he probably just ate it and didn't tell anybody about it.
Did they bring his mom on the phone too? She's like, just
No.
eat it, baby. You'll be fine. Just eat it.
Nope. Nope. There was. I'm reasonably sure that all of the women would have been like, "Don't get sick." I mean, the issue was if it was raw, if it was bad, and he got food poisoning, he'd get food poisoning when he was alone in the command module and
Yeah,
could
that's not
seriously
good.
damage
Yeah,
the
I wouldn't
landing
take that
portion of the
gamble.
mission. So,
Yeah.
That's true.
but yeah, an hour on going to the moon was spent discussing tuna fish.
That's nuts.
You ready for number 8?
How about
Number
number
nine?
9?
Number 9.
Let's do
Sorry,
number 9
9. I
first.
can count. I
Did you
told you guys I'm not good at numbers.
She's adorable. Did you hear her? Sorry? That was
Yes,
adorable. Oh,
All right.
Oh.
Okay.
number 9.
Wait, did you say
Number
number 9?
9.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Number
Pete
oh,
Conrad. Oh, sorry.
No,
it's
it-
good. It's so adorable.
I'm just kidding. I know. Go.
All right, Pete Conrad. You ought to look out the overhead window there and watch this urine dump.
I know this one. Yeah.
You do know it?
Oh yeah, I've heard this one before. This has nothing to do with your blog, but I think I've seen this one. Isn't it where the light from the sun shimmers through the urine when it crystallizes,
Oh,
like
look at
hyper
you,
crystallizes in space, and it's just it's beautiful from what they say. It's a beautiful sight to see because you've got all these reflective surfaces in the urine as it's flying out past your window.
Yep. There's the joke that everybody knows about it is in Apollo 13, they make a reference of it calling it the constellation Orion instead of constellation Orion. But yeah, there's this big long conversation. Again, there's a lot of these are from Apollo 12 because it's kind of my favorite, and these guys were super weird and hilarious. But yeah, I just love the idea that an astronaut sitting there like, hey, watch my pee. Because also, like, I don't know how old you guys are. I won't guess ages, but I feel like you can imagine that men in their 30s going to the moon are still actually men who are mentally about 15 when it comes to things like
Yes.
peeing.
Do we ever grow
Yes.
out of that mental age?
I don't think so. Like, I was in the Navy and I used to be in submarines.
In the Navy.
And you're talking like 160 guys. It's basically a floating frat house. So, yeah.
So think of this as a zooming to the moon mini frat house. I mean,
Yes.
that also smells like a latrine. Like apparently it was just awful.
Yeah.
Continuing on, number 8.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Rook,
Again.
you can join in on this too.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yeah, Ray.
Ray?
I
Ray.
just wanted
Are
permission.
you still here, Ray?
Jay usually
I'm here.
does. Jay usually does the Spanish side of it. He'll
The
do
Spanish?
Ocho.
Oh, you-
Ah.
You can do that, right?
Oh, the numbers?
Yeah.
Oh, ocho.
I could say it in French.
Oh yeah. Add a French spin to it. See, I like this.
All right.
All right. Okay. Sorry. Back to you. We digress.
Multilingual here. I like it. All right. So we got another one from Pete Conrad. I wish I could shit. I'd feel a lot better about it. I don't have the slightest inclination, but I just know what's going to happen. It's going to be the first shit on the lunar surface.
I think that's pretty
Yes.
self-explanatory, I think.
Oh, that's awesome.
Unless shit means something else.
Ooh.
Maybe he's talking about tuna.
Maybe
I
the
think
tuna stopped them up.
A potential tuna tie. Yeah, exactly. There's a potential tuna tie-in. So yeah, no, this is what I think is kind of interesting about this one, aside from the fact that it's mildly hilarious, because who doesn't love good poop jokes? The astronauts had two ways of talking on board, right? They had the air-to-ground radio, that transcript that was like broadcast to the families and was occasionally broadcast live. So that was the one where they say very polite and like cleaned up language things.
Yeah.
And then they have the onboard recorder that records them chatting amongst themselves. And most of it is just like calling out numbers for burn times or whatever. But every once in a while you get the most human of conversations. Because I don't know about anybody else, but whenever I see like some movie when you're in like a confined space for a long time and it's it's Hollywood, and all I can think of is like, what do you do if you have to pee? What do you do if you have to
I think about
I
that
just
all
love
the
that they're
time.
just like outright addressing. So the astronauts also went on what was called a low residue diet. So this would be a high protein diet that would give them fewer bowel movements because they didn't exactly have a way to get rid of it. They just had to poop in bags and then squeeze crystals in it to neutralize the odor and like absorb the liquid out of it, but they had to store it and bring it back.
Tasty.
You know
Yes.
too much about this
I
stuff.
know.
Some subjects you don't have to learn about.
but it makes for amazing content.
It does. I was very fascinated by that.
So I love the human moments of like, yep, this is a real thing, and we're gonna sit in a tiny vehicle together and talk about how I can't poop.
Well, especially because I think it's such like a historic, glorified like event that when you think of like these amazing men going up and doing such fantastic things. But like you said, it's so the context, the conversation is so human and so relatable that when you hear it, you're like, yeah, that's something I would say.
Add that human element to it.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Number 7.
Number 7.
7.
Ocho.
No.
7. Damn it, Ray.
Siete.
For all of them.
You had one job. One job.
So Ken Mattingly said on Apollo 16, "Gall dang it.
Say gall?
Gall dang it.
Gall dang it. What Apollo was this? 16?
16.
Gall.
There's not really much to guess in this
Yeah.
one. What I find really interesting about this one mainly is because I can't remember what military branch Mattingly was from, but these guys were all military and they all swear like sailors, as evidenced in number 8 with Conrad talking about wanting to take a shit.
Yeah.
That when they knew they were on that microphone, that they were going broadcast live to the world when they were on the moon's surface, they had to come up with creative ways to curse. And gall dang it was one that stood out to me. It's like, I've never even heard like a sweet old man say that when he like dropped a credit card at a restaurant. Like, gall dang it.
That's because you live in Canada.
We don't live in Canada anymore.
That's true. That's true.
But I just, for some reason, I find this so sweet that like these astronauts are on the moon's surface, like fussing with rocks, driving rovers around, and something goes wrong, and they just say, "God dang it."
Gall dang it.
What was the action that was going on that caused that?
Can't remember. I can't remember. I think if I'm looking, so this was from my own tweet. I don't have a timestamp on this one, so I can't look it up. But I could dig it out, but it would take too long. My scene direction, as it were, is still lots of pics going on Apollo 16, which makes me think that this was the end of the last. I think it was the end of the last EVA. So they were taking a bunch of pictures and trying to just get at the last of everything they could want to photograph of themselves on the moon with the rover, because they'd done all the sites already, that they were just having some issues getting everything like stored away and ready to put up in the lunar module. And, you're thinking about pressurized, bulky gloves. I mean, these things are massive and you're exhausted. You're at the end of your EVA and things are starting to not work as well. And you've got gall dang it as the expletive.
Yeah, that's funny.
Or I guess Mattingly was in the CM though. So I think he was doing like star sightings. Like, he's on his own at this point, actually. Oh yeah, that's what it is.
There you
That's
go.
what it
There
is.
it
Isn't
is.
it weird that I just remember that halfway through? Yeah, no, it was Duke and Young were taking pictures of themselves, and Mattingly is up there doing photography of the surface while they're doing that. That's what was happening. And at some point, I think this might have been when he was actually on the far side by himself, like narrating himself for NASA's benefit so they could line up the pictures with where he was. And at some point he'd like loses something and he's like, God dang it. And you've got these, and I remember this like weird parallel that like meanwhile on the surface, they're dropping things being like, shucks. Because they can't curse. They try not to curse openly on a hot mic. It was pretty funny.
That's
Matty
funny.
Lewis, see, sometimes you have to remember what's going on, and you should do that before you start talking.
No, the exchange back and forth almost made it that much better to watch your mind work to dig up that
you could
old
see
file.
the moment where she remembered it because her eyes like lit up. And
That was that proverbial light bulb, wasn't it? That's what we
I
saw.
think it was.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I just have one on my desk all the time. Put up when I remember things.
And there's the tattoo I
Alrighty.
just watched the video about.
Oh, the Gemini Regalo
Yeah,
tattoo,
yeah.
the nerdiest tattoo I could
That's
imagine.
awesome, though.
I like it.
Yeah,
Actually,
that's great.
as a like total sidebar, I had a panel on, I don't even remember when, last weekend with a bunch of Gemini engineers and Tom Stafford, who flew 2 Gemini and 2 Apollo missions, which was intimidating. And I showed them my tattoo at the end of it, and a couple of them actually worked on this and were just amazed that someone A, knew what it was, and B, had it permanently put on their body. It was really cute. They're all,
That's
these lovely
awesome.
guys in their 80s.
Those are the best kind.
Guys in their 80s are adorable.
They are. I mean, we live in like the elderly capital of the world, so
That's a good point.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, are we ready for what are we on? Number 6?
Number 6.
Did you say it? Oh,
Number 6.
number 6.
Number 6.
Ocho.
It's a,
Damn it, right, Burrito.
Nobody knows the difference.
it's amazing that we're doing this by video and still successfully talking over each other.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is from, I can't remember his first name, Hartsfield, who was the Capcom on Apollo 16 at one point, talking about Charlie Duke's suit. Well, we thought about it and smoked over it, and we kind of think maybe we ought to do nothing unless you have some real bad trouble tomorrow.
Sounds like
That's
my
a
mom, maybe?
super concerning tidbit, though. Like, that's not what you want to hear.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
And they smoked about it, too. So
Unless his fly got stuck. That wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
Do spacesuits even have flies?
I don't think so.
Don't they have like that tube that just...
Yeah, I think
they can
don't they
use?
have a catheter or something?
I don't know if they have a
know.
catheter in.
Definitely not a catheter. That would be,
No?
I don't know how
When
long
they're
you
in
can
the
leave
suits?
a catheter
Well, they have-
in, but I know it's not like 12 days.
They have catheter condoms too, which sounds really nasty, but it's like a rubber band that's kind of hanging onto your member, and then that
Yeah.
leads it to where it's supposed to go. But yeah, I don't think they had catheters in the space missions.
I guess it'd be hard to do it. Can you put my catheter in, buddy?
Damn it fell out. Maybe the aw shucks moment was when his catheter fell out. Maybe that's what
Oh, is that it? Is that it?
He's just hanging out in orbit alone, trying to do a catheter to himself in zero gravity. Oh, God dang it.
God damn. And they were like, well, we thought about it. Just leave it. You're good.
Leave it. You're fine.
We smoked about it.
just piss in the suit. It's okay.
So this one, Charlie Duke realized that, right, in zero gravity, you can grow because your spine is not compressed as much. Astronauts can grow a couple inches. So Charlie Duke realized that he couldn't actually close his lunar EVA suit very well.
Oh wow.
And they wanted to try to figure out, there's not a fly, but there are zippers involved, the zipper up the back of it, that he was really having a hard time getting it shut. And they were trying to figure out, like, could he, like, if he could, like, basically, like, jerry-rig something to fix it even temporarily. But NASA was, like, terrified that if he did anything and broke a part of the suit, that he wouldn't be able to put it on at all, which meant that even John Young wouldn't be able to go outside because you don't have an airlock on the lunar module. You just depressurize the whole thing and step outside. So the couple of things in this quote that I like. First of all, just the fact that NASA being not risk averse at the time, because they're sending men to the moon, but the idea of maybe just don't touch it unless something happens is, like, again, the advice, like the tuna, the advice from, like, the smartest men on the planet, just leave it alone and hope. Like that, like, thank you, I feel very safe now. But also the fact that multiple times over the mission when they had problems, we smoked over it.
Yeah.
Is so indicative of that time period where, like, you can just imagine this room full of guys in their skinny white ties, because this was 72, but they still, like, had this, like, respect for the job that they would wear suits.
Yep.
Sitting around sort of, like, looking at a training suit, trying to figure out what the problem is, how they could fix it, just chain smoking, because that's how they think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those moments that, like, reading it, you're like, that's weirdly evocative for a very small thing.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. I
Yeah.
just picture like everybody with big mustaches and slapping women's asses when they walk by. That's just
a very misogynist time back then. You know, the buildings, some of the buildings,
Yeah.
there's the old CIF building that's out there at NASA it still has all the original walls and like drop tile ceilings, and they're all like stained yellow from the cigarette smoke. The just thousands and hundreds of thousands of cigarettes that got smoked in those hallways.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
But-
So
Probably very few women around to have their bums slapped. So
Yeah, that's true. It was a very male-oriented or male-driven culture.
indeed. All right. So that was number 6, right?
that was 6.
All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a little break. And when we come back, do you got a teaser for another one? Any kind of teaser? Or you just want to leave it open?
I don't think I think there's a couple in here that I honestly just don't even know. I just think they're funny, and we're just going to imagine together.
Well, okay.
what
You
they were
won't
actually
believe what
talking about.
number 3 is. You know?
Jesus Christ, Tach. Love it.
All right. So we will be right back.
Hey, Tech, you ever have that conversation with your girl about where to eat dinner and it always turns into that back and forth? I don't know, you pick.
Yeah. Every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've got an answer for you next time that comes up.
Oh, yeah. We're at.
The Salty Fox in Melbourne off of Old Galley Boulevard.
Oh, nice. You know, I've actually been there, and the food was pretty awesome.
Hell yeah, it was. They offer a great selection of paninis, shareable appetizers, soups and salads, and one of the best desserts I've ever had, the Funky Monkey.
Oh, yeah. My favorite was the vintage options. They got this meal called ramen noodle on crack. You just got to try it out.
Done. That's definitely what I'm getting next time.
Put the fun between your legs at the Salty Fox every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. with the Old Galley Arts District Bike Crawl.
It's a 4-mile bicycle ride down Pineapple Avenue with stops for food and beer all along the route. Be sure to visit the Salty Fox every Sunday for brunch from 11 to 4.
Hey, isn't that the $10 bottomless mimosas brunch?
Sure is. Enjoy your brunch while the Salty Fox's DJ spins throwbacks and top 40 hits.
Salty Fox is located in the downtown Old Galley Art District on Old Galley Boulevard.
Check them out on Facebook at facebook.com/saltyfoxmelbourne or online at thesaltyfox.net.
Hey, listeners, be sure to mention you heard about the Salty Fox on our show, and you'll get 10% off your meals.
Village Idiot Pub. You locals know about it. You guys from out of town have to check them out.
Village Idiot Pub is now a proud sponsor with Living Podcariously and the Twisted 10 podcasts.
It's more than just about commercials, though. The cast here will be taking our show on the road to Village Idiot to record some episodes as well as hold events. They have over 30 beers on tap, including ciders and Hefeweizen, my favorite, as well as hundreds of bottle choices.
Adam, you forgot my favorite, all the delicious wine. So get your friends together and enjoy the board games, puzzles, and the giant Jenga.
Let the owner, Jason, as well as the rest of the staff there, take excellent care of your beer drinking needs.
Mention either one of our shows to the staff and get 10% off your tab.
Tuesday is open mic, Wednesday is trivia, Thursday is karaoke, Friday and Saturday night are live music.
Visit them at 4 Harrison Street, Suite 103, Cocoa, Florida, or Village Idiot Pub on Facebook. And don't forget, they are a dog-friendly location, so bring your friends, family, and fur babies.
Do you like sci-fi, AI, and technology? Do you enjoy going on tangents and down random rabbit holes of a subject? Then join me and my friends each week on Brokebot Mountain as some artificially intelligent people attempt to walk through a maze that explores themes of existence and free thought in sci-fi TV, movies, and books. The conversations are unique and bring an unusual perspective to the genre and can literally go anywhere. And we do mean anywhere. You can find us at blazingcariboustudios.com or look for Brokebot Mountain on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play, or anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Hey, it's Adam. If you enjoy the hosts or the content of the Twisted 10, be sure to check out our other show. It's called Living Podcariously. While the Twisted 10 may get crass and explicit occasionally, it holds no water to Living Podcariously. We do get a little bit more rough and raw on that show. We have a lot of fun producing it and have had some awesome guests. And as always, thanks for listening.
to the Twisted 10. Hope you guys enjoyed the break.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good.
It's refreshing.
Good. Amy, did you enjoy your break? Did you pet Pete?
I did. I pet Pete. He's currently sleeping curled up on the floor right now and staring at the wall. So,
Oh, good. All right. So what we've been listening to is the top 10 weirdest things ever said in space?
On the moon missions.
Bizarre things said going to or coming back from or on the surface of the moon.
There you
Very
go.
cool. All right. So if you can real quickly just, I don't know, like do a quick brief description of the 10 through 6. It's kind of hard, though. It's kind of a pull.
No, it'll be all right. We can just run through the titles.
Yeah, just run through the
I can
titles.
blast through it.
Okay.
So number 10, we're still checking with some people down here about that tuna fish, is the paraphrasing,
Yeah.
whether or not it was safe to eat tuna that had been exposed to pure oxygen for 8 hours. Number 9, you ought to look at the overhead window there and watch this urine dump, because apparently when it crystallized and caught the sunlight, it was beautiful, and also grown men making each other look at their own pee. Number 8, Conrad. The short version, I wish I could shit, because they were on a low residue diet, and it's still a very human thing, even though they're going to the moon. And really, he just wanted to poop. I can't count backwards. Number 7, Ken Mattingly, contrasting to I wish I could shit, just said, "God dang it," which I remembered halfway through discussing it, that he was alone in the command module taking pictures, and I think a camera floated away, and just in case he was heard live around the world or anyone used that recording, it was "God dang it" instead of "God damn it."
That cute old man.
It's precious.
Yep. Number 6, discussing a problem on Charlie Duke's suit on Apollo 16. We thought about it and smoked over it. Don't do anything unless something bad happens. And
Right.
yeah, smoking over it is what stands out to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it brings us
Talking
to...
to
Yeah, so it brings us to number
5.
Number five.
Ocho.
Damn it.
John Young on Apollo 16 said, I imagine when the Soviets start up here, they'll set up their lunar base in the first place and then stay for a while.
Oh, they were talking about aliens.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with aliens, Bob, for 500.
Yeah, this is I mean, very much self-explanatory. I just find this is actually one of the few, if not the only moment that I've come across where one of the Apollo astronauts, I think at this point they're in orbit around the moon, and he just has that moment of like, when the Soviets get here, they're going to set up a lunar base. There was no feeling on this mission at that moment of like, we're never going to come back to the moon, possibly in our lifetime. John Young is still around, but I just think it's interesting to have that sort of idea of what the Soviets are actually planning, even though they didn't know at the time that they didn't have the technology to get to the moon at all, and sort of had this image of a future with Soviets with a moon base.
Yeah, that space race kind of died during those last few Apollo missions.
I mean, it arguably died in 1965 with Korolev, who was sort of the Soviet answer to Wernher von Braun, for lack of a better comparison. But it's just kind of interesting. You don't see... It's interesting for an astronaut to have a reflection of the larger purpose or the larger context of Apollo within that framework. I wish that was interesting.
I wish that drive was back now. I mean, I know we're getting there a little bit again, but I wish that drive of we need to be the supreme, leader in the world for technology and space. I wish that was back to us again. It's going commercial, and that's good, but I wish the public, endorsed it as much as they did back in the 60s.
What do you mean? I just watched a video the other day on YouTube saying that all SpaceX launches and landings were CGI.
Conspiracy theorists.
Love
also, people are more interested in becoming Instagram models than helping, promote science.
This is true.
Yeah, it's Ray Brito all day.
Wait, what?
Uplifting, isn't it?
Ray Brito says, Ocho.
Just the one line. All right. Good for number 4?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, number 4.
Number 4.
Quattro.
Cat?
Cat is cat French for 4?
In French, yeah, it's cat.
Oh, cat.
Oh, well, there you go.
Meow.
I really just thought you were calling the cat for a second
So
there.
did I. I was like,
Speaking of kittens, another Conrad quote, less good than the shit quote. This side of the moon here, I think, is really pretty. The other side's ugly.
I'm assuming there he's referring to the Larkin Dykes. Yeah, the dark and light side, I'm assuming.
So at this point, he's actually on the lunar far side, which is really interesting because if you've seen pictures of the near side and the far side, the near side has all this like these big mare and all these interesting light and dark bits and all these really beautiful craters, and the far side is sort of like almost uniformly pockmarked everywhere with craters, and like it just looks like a hot mess of I don't know how you would recognize anything unless you lived and died to study all the craters on the moon.
I've seen Transformers. I know. That's where Megatron was. You haven't seen
Iron Sky.
That's not
Wait, Iron
Transformers.
Sky. Iron Sky. What is that?
The movie where Nazis have a secret base on the moon's far side, and then they come back in like 2014 to take over the world.
Nerd.
Yeah, you know that movie.
That's awesome. That sounds good.
No,
it's one of those movies that's like so bad it's good.
Yeah.
One of those.
I got you.
I love those. No, why? There's a couple reasons why I love this quote. I mean, you got to remember that only 24 people went to the moon and saw the moon's far side with their own eyes. Up close in real time with all the changing colors as you're sort of going through the light is shifting as you're orbiting. And the astronauts always have these really amazing, like, poetic ways of describing it because they're describing words that we understand, like, this is beautiful, it's desolate, I see it looking like plaster. They're always kind of trying to really put it into words to make it very clear to the geologists and to the people listening at home. So then you got Pete Conrad says, this side is pretty. The other side's ugly. This is just the ultimate, like slow clap, like thank you for that.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you're finally on another planet. You placed your foot on it. How does it look? And he just goes, it's cool.
It's not a.
It's all right.
It's not a planet.
What? I'm sorry, it's a moon. Was that what you're talking
It's a satellite.
Heavenly body,
Satellite.
as it
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying for the.
All of your
making a
SpaceX,
joke.
all of your SpaceX buddies are throwing something right now. Just saying.
Elon Musk. All right.
and also, I mean, just the fact that it's the most human description of like, I think this is pretty. I don't think that is as pretty. Like, it's just, I don't know. There's something about just like that description. Having read so many of these like things where like it takes your breath away. It's amazing to feel the majesty of the earth from this distance, and this is pretty.
Yeah, you can tell he's an engineer. That's how engineers talk.
Yeah. Little fun. Speaking of them being engineers and not good for the geology and stuff, the Apollo 12 crew, Pete Conrad and Al Bean, who was the Lynn module pilot, also walked on the moon, had a little risk checklist, right? They all did, and they had geology cheat sheets in the back of terms just to say. Didn't say what it was, just like things like albedo, which they called albino, which is also a pill that helps you fart or stops you farting. But
what's this? Albino.
They cheated with maybe it's Canadian or something, but they would cheat with their geology terms. So speaking of engineers, they were so engineer-y that they had to like take words about rocks to the moon with them. Humans.
Yeah,
I like humans.
We need adjectives here. So if you could go ahead and write a bunch down on my arm, that'd be great.
Yep. Do you think that'd be something they'd like want to go up there knowing?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like that'd be part of like training.
Teach me description words. Like, just go up to the moon. Just worry about that.
Just
right
look at it. Come back.
Well, wait a minute. NFL quarterbacks wear cheat sheets on their arm for their plays.
For their plays.
I'm just saying.
But that's not.
I don't know. That's sports.
That's not another planet, Tack?
No.
I don't know. I don't get sports metaphors.
Oh, okay.
He gets Hot Pocket metaphors.
He does get Hot Pocket metaphors. Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Listen to the Rook.
Rook's toasting you, buddy. I'm just saying.
It's all right. We'll get her back. All right. Sorry. Go ahead.
Are you ready for number 3?
Number 3.
Yeah. We shouldn't say
sorry.
that. Yeah, we're ready.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Ocho.
3.
Hey,
it's stupid,
all the
but
languages with the correct number that time. Awesome. This is Mike Collins to the crew of Apollo 8 on their way to the moon at some point between the Earth and the moon. We would like to let you know that there are only 2 more shopping days until Christmas.
That's not right.
Oh, somebody's pulling some fast ones up there in space.
It was only 2 more shopping days until Christmas at the time. This would have been on what days? They launched on December 21st, so it would have been the 23rd. But
when did they come home?
The 27th.
See, that's not right.
So that wasn't useful information for them.
No, definitely not. But it is indicative of this little, there was very much a culture of like every morning when they sort of did housekeeping and were kind of waking up and starting their day, that they would give them updates from home to make it feel less like they were, you know,
Separated.
I don't know if anyone ever thinks about this, but like when you think about the size of the Apollo spacecraft, it's really, really tiny, and it's somewhere between the Earth and the Moon. That, when I try to visualize what that would feel like to look out the window and just see nothing, it like gives me panic attacks.
Yeah.
So they would give these guys these like updates from home, and it was usually there were a bunch of guys, jocks. It was a lot of sports scores. A lot of there was one at some point they told everyone, you know, just by the way, Elizabeth Taylor is a grandmother. Hate to disappoint you. She's only 39, but she's a grandmother. All these like weird little pop culture updates, and I just love, because Apollo 8 was the first one to the moon and it was around Christmas time. The update from home was shopping days until Christmas for the first bit of the mission.
I feel like that's just kind of like a dick thing to say, though, because because at that point, like, I know that I'd be the one up there and be like, I didn't buy anything for my, like, I would be the one like, shit,
But you would have a really good excuse.
Yeah, and you can bring back the coolest thing in Moon Rock. So
be like, that was my plan.
Oh, they didn't land.
So yeah,
you can bring back some space air.
This is the iconic Earthrise picture, was taken Christmas Eve that year.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
what time zone are the astronauts on when they're traveling through
Is
space?
it Zulu time?
Is it Greenwich mean time?
They are on mission elapsed time.
Oh.
So they're talking to Houston, which is in Central Time, and it's actually like such a mess, the time of missions, which I actually need to like research this and figure it out. But so they were talking to Houston on Central Time because they're in Houston, but the Cape was working on Eastern Time because it's in Florida. But the crew and everyone was really following mission elapsed time, so it's going through. So I can tell you, I don't have that timestamp, but Conrad saying that the far side of the moon was prettier than the near side was at 92:51 in the transcript, so 91 hours and 52 minutes.
What
But then there were all kinds. So then you have to figure out what day that is in the flight, right? When you're transcribing it for the humans. But then they did these things where, like, if they missed, if they skipped a burn, or like they didn't land, like on Apollo 16, they didn't land when they were supposed to. They had to delay the landing by a couple of orbits around the moon. They had to actually jump the clock forward 20 hours at one point, so that all the other mission events would be on the time as it was laid out in the mission event planner pre-launch.
Holy shit.
Damn.
It's the most confusing thing in the world.
They just like doing math. I think that's it. Engineers just love math.
Extra work.
I mean, you're the engineer. Would you love that? Would that like make you happy? So the way they did timing was just like sort of nuts, but they tried to keep it on time for Houston, just because that's where mission control was.
Okay, that makes sense.
Crazy. Freaking engineers. All right, go ahead.
Alrighty. Number two.
Number two.
Duh.
Ocho.
This is
damn it.
This is the one that is fully open to interpretation from all.
Ooh.
Great.
131 hours and 42 minutes into Apollo 11, Neil Armstrong said, "You ready for your underwear? Mike, you ready for your underwear? You ready for your underwear?"
What?
That sounds like
I have absolutely no idea what's happening at this point.
Sounds like a Rihanna song or something.
work, underwear.
Yeah, basically. Just mumble, underwear, blah, 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 underwear.
What? They don't have a laundry facilities on the space vehicles?
Did they have a George Foreman grill? Maybe they were drying their underwear?
Definitely not. What I think
I like that your mind went there.
Maybe they were talking that joke, like, "Hey, Tack, hand me that's over there. It's
underwear."
Under you said.
See?
Yeah.
Maybe that was it.
Ready, knee slapper.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
You had a bony knee.
Sorry? Yeah, I do have a bony knee. I know. I do. My current skeleton onesie that I wear anytime but Halloween. I think what was happening at this point, and this is pure conjecture, so no one out there quote me on this, but a lot of times, because it was very hard to clean things in space and you don't have ample running water, they would strip down naked to go to the bathroom. Because then you could just wipe it off instead of having to wash it out of your clothes if you got into it. So I've always wondered if at this point Mike Collins stripped down naked to take a quick little cheeky poo, and then Armstrong was passing him his clothes back.
That's a pretty good theory.
That's my theory. I'm not sure. Again, do not quote me on this, anybody. But I don't think they brought a change of underwear. Maybe they did, but like he would have to get naked and someone would have to be passing him the underwear for that to be a thing that you would say.
So they'd all get to be pretty fast friends, I imagine.
Oh yeah.
I would imagine so.
I mean, even if in training alone, you're like stuck in a thing with people for like months at a time. Like if you don't like each other, you're gonna be tolerant of each other.
I think that might be why they didn't do like all women ones back then, because they would just be like really bitchy, passive aggressive comments. Like, oh, I like how you just wear anything, and they'd be like, they wouldn't make it back.
I mean, maybe it's you got the Navy guys who are used to being in the submarines and they just don't care about things anymore. They're just like, get it.
Hey,
that's you, Tach.
I mean that in a good way, that they're like, you know what? I've seen a bunch of naked dudes for years. I'll just hang out with a bunch of naked dudes in space. I don't even care.
Every guy's dream.
Right. I have a collection of like Adam's underwear and Ray's, so I may have them mixed up now in different pockets.
How many pair of Ray's underwear do you have?
It's not talking about
one
that.
for every day of the week.
Sorry, go ahead.
All right. So last one, number one.
Number one.
Uno. That's for you, Jay.
Yeah.
Ocho.
All right. I don't have who said it. It just says Capcom in what I have. But the hordes of people that devised this procedure are going to be coming in. Hold up until everyone can listen.
Ooh, so there was some sort of technical procedure that happened on the aircraft that they needed. Maybe it was an emergency of some kind, and they needed
Apollo 13.
all of the people to. I was
right.
I was building up to it, Jack.
Sorry, you're not fast enough.
It was a storytelling.
I
and
look
it was
cooler now.
Damn it! I knew that one. Without redo. Let's do that one over. Number one. No,
did Ed Harris say it? I don't know.
I know it wouldn't have been, because I don't think Gene Kranz got on. He wouldn't. I don't think he would have been on. The console talking to the astronauts. It would have been the Capcom, and it depends on who the team was, who the Capcom would have been at that point. Gotcha. I don't know, but it's the moment in Apollo 13 where they have the command module power-up procedure ready to go. So this was like the big thing, right? This spacecraft was not designed to be turned off, let alone turned off and frozen and then restarted again to re-enter the atmosphere. But it was the only way to conserve power in the batteries. And this was what, dozens and dozens of people have been working on for like 3 days. And Jack Swigert, the whole crew, is getting really anxious to get this, because if they don't have that, they're not going to make it. They're not going to have oxygen. They're not going to have power. Like they're going to have survived everything and then die. So they're pretty anxious to get this going, to make sure they understand it, because like they're not eating, they're not sleeping, like make sure everything's triple checked. But then there's this moment where they're like, we have it ready for you. And whoever the Capcom is says, got it, but you need to wait, because everybody who worked on this wants to be in the room when we read it up to you. And in that moment, like, I was reading the transcript and I got chills, because you just get this image of everybody just grabbing anywhere to plug in a headset, listening on something. The camaraderie and the team effort, for lack of a better word, that got Apollo 13 home safely is so perfectly summed up in that one really quick throwaway comment after the crew.
Absolutely.
That's so cool.
And just reading it, you really get this sense of like, I can imagine just everybody pouring in, and like these guys aren't sleeping, and half of them are in sweatpants. Like those images of the skinny ties, like that went out the window the second Apollo 13 had that oxygen tank rupture, and it just became this get it done. And this is what get it done looks like once it's got done. And it's just this, like, to me, this is one of the most beautiful moments on that entire mission, of like the entire team that's been working on it comes together to see it happen.
It's awesome.
You know what's amazing, though? The story is fantastic, but you can hear Amy's passion about, her love of this in this inner storytelling. That's what's awesome to hear, is you can hear your passion. You could walk through the halls of NASA right now, and everyone you bumped into wouldn't contain that passion. I mean, there's some, of course, that do. But some of the people, it's just every run-of-the-mill kind of day for them. And I'm out there every day humbled when we go to work. And I might be a low guy on a totem pole, but it's still a cool totem pole. And you can hear the passion in your voice for telling some of these stories. That's what's really neat. That's admirable about the space program in general.
Yeah. Have you guys gone into old Mission Control? Speaking of everyone piling into Mission Control?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I drive by it almost every day.
It's right there that's the one right there beside Vehicle Assembly Building, right? The older one?
Yeah. It's got the high windows, you know, the traditional.
In Houston.
Oh, in Houston. No.
In Houston, Mission Control.
No, I've never been over there.
No, I haven't been there.
I did get to go into it not on a public tour, so I was alone with an escort to make sure that I didn't like run loose and just like camp out in there for the rest of my life.
I think that's a smart idea for you. So,
but it was
the normal person I wouldn't worry about.
What'd you say, Ray?
No.
I said she got a prostitute to go.
What? Escort.
An escort.
It's not offend our guests
because they're escorting you through. I've been in places where you can't even go to the bathroom without your escort, making sure that you don't.
That's how it is at SpaceX.
Material or something, and they call them escorts, and I'm always like. But then I remember that's only funny because I'm like a young person, and apparently that's where my brain goes. But it was just like amazing to sit in that room and like I had already read that bit of the transcript and just like sitting in the flight director's chair and just like knowing where every console was and just imagining everyone being in that space and just having talked to the guys that were there about like what they were wearing and how they smelled. It was just like. This is unbelievable things that happened in this tiny room.
Hey, Tach, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing Black Panther.
More importantly, what does it smell like? Dude, that was a good growl. Did you hear that? Was that
Amy?
Amy? Who?
It was me.
That was awesome.
Wow.
No, she got you beat, buddy.
That's my thing. I always do that, and people always roll their eyes at me.
I learned how to coo at pigeons out my window in second year of undergrad.
Wait, did you like sit there and practice and like see what they responded to best?
I was in the attic of the building that I was in, so like pigeons would just be up there like ooh, ooh, all the time, and
wow,
I would just sort of lean out the window and just.
So you were like, I want to be a part of this.
Yeah,
and you figured
I was
out
like the crazy pigeon lady. I was like 18 and a crazy pigeon lady.
Tach,
I don't know. I had weird roommates in that dorm. It was awesome.
If you set up another Twisted 10 in the future with Amy, it has to be animal impersonation.
Yeah, let her do bird sounds, bird calls.
She did that growl and then the birds.
What else
you're onto something.
Give us one more.
I don't know. It depends. I mean, I can do a pretty good Pete bringing me things. He brings me things like little stuffed rats because he's an indoor cat. So you know how they want to bring you something because you can't hunt. They kill things. Well, thankfully, Pete can't bring me dead things, but he can kill his little like plush Kong rat that needs more catnip in it, and he'll sort of put it in his mouth and.
That was actually really impressive.
That was pretty good.
Howl at me and then bring it up, drop it.
I used to have a cat that used to just randomly out of nowhere just go hello, and I'd always be like hello. And you're hello.
So weird.
It's just what it
You had
sounded
a
like.
talking cat?
I had a talking cat.
No, see, it's Tach that said hello to everyone else in the world. It said,
right. They were just
all we heard.
were just bugs.
He was talking
Tach's like, you heard it, right? You heard him? He did it. He did it. You heard it, right? That's
like on Friends when Rachel has the cat.
Oh, I'm a huge Friends fanatic.
And the cat hisses and she goes, "It said my name," and she thinks the cat's trying to like murder her.
Well, the cat was her dead grandmother.
No, that's Phoebe.
Mother. Oh, Phoebe.
That was Phoebe. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking.
You said you're a Friends fan.
Oh, come on now. What are we going to talk later,
I haven't
Ricky?
thought of Friends in months, and this is the second Friends conversation I've had in 2 days.
Oh, it's a great show.
It's on Netflix now, isn't it?
I know.
It's been on
I know.
Netflix.
Oh, it's been on Netflix.
Jesus, Adam.
I haven't watched Friends since I was, I don't know.
Do you even Friends, bro? Okay. All right, Amy. Well, this
Words
was
I
awesome.
never thought to hear between two men.
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
you're going to learn that a lot with me. So.
Tax a man by classification, but I mean, he's in touch with his feminine side. But he's also a rocker, so you should hear his music videos. He has a voice to kill for rock.
Oh, stop. So, this was awesome, Amy. So, okay, well, we really appreciate you doing this for us and coming on the show. And where can people find you? Go ahead. This is your time to shine. Plug away.
All over the place. No, best places to find me. The main place would be youtube.com/vintage space, or just search for Vintage Space. New episodes go up every Monday, occasional weird things on Fridays. And from there will be links to the new blog site, so that's good. And if for sort of the daily weird of space-ish things, depending on what I'm doing, Twitter and Instagram, I'm AST Vintage Space, so just my initials, Vintage Space. And Breaking the Chains of Gravity is still out in stores.
Nice.
The Prehistory of Spaceflight. The
Is that
Formation
also-
of NASA.
Is that also on Amazon?
It is on Amazon. Yeah, I should definitely
Okay.
say that. It's available on Amazon and ebooks and audiobooks and stuff. So
Oh, cool.
it's out there.
Oh, did you
It's out
do
there
your
in
own?
ether.
Did you do your own narration for your audiobook?
I did not.
Oh,
I did
man.
not. I asked them if I could do it, and they said that they couldn't afford to pay for it. And
But
I was like,
it's
but
you.
it's weird if it's not me, right? And then
See, I would have been like, I read
apparently-
it every night before I go to bed. Like, I'll record it for you guys.
Yeah.
It was, I haven't even, I heard a quick sample of it. I don't know. But so many people have asked me why I didn't narrate it. So next time around, I'll see if I can't work that into a contract. And
There you go.
just do it. I think it'd be fun. Not that I think I have the best speaking voice unless I
Well.
speak with gravitas.
Well, you put the right emphasis on the right sections, and
That's true.
the-
Yeah, that's what I think people didn't necessarily love about the narration is just that, pronunciation of space terms is a little bit different if you don't know it, and the emphasis of sort of what's really important is not necessarily where you imagine it to be. And I didn't think about that at all until people started asking me why I didn't narrate it, and I was like, because they said that I couldn't.
Right.
Oh yeah,
and
that
the
actually
other-
makes a lot of sense if the author read their own work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that thing that the reader won't have that you do is your passion right behind it. Because, like you said, just like Adam was saying, we could hear it and see it like as you're talking. It's awesome.
By the way, for any listener out there, all the links to Amy's book, to the sites, to the Facebook, to the YouTube, to everything, to the YouTubes. You hear what I said? To the YouTubes.
Yes,
YouTube.
yes, we're old.
That'll all be in the show notes for this episode. So whatever you're listening to on for your device, listening to this show or online, just go look at the show notes. They're all there. They're clickable links, so it can take you right to it. And the Amazon link will take you straight to the book.
Indeed.
So Ray Brito, first of all, Gallows Humor Podcast. We love the podcast. Partners of ours here in Brevard County, keeping Brevard County, Florida, representing podcast.
Represent.
Well, good.
Yes.
I don't know what to say there.
Ocho. All right.
Yeah, Ocho. ESPN 8, the Ocho.
Yeah.
So how can listeners get a hold of you for Gallows Humor?
Same.
Just
Perfect.
through any of the-
iTunes, Google Play, all that stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah. I
And-
talk more on my podcast.
Yeah, you didn't say a whole lot on this one. But that's okay. Ray's also going to be on our episode of Living Podcariously tonight, so check out him on Living Podcariously with us. He's filling in for Jay's absence this week. So that's awesome. Are you going to be doing any stand-up here locally here in Central Florida anytime soon? You want to pitch a location? Comes
I
out
don't know when
Thursday. This
the
drops Thursday.
this Thursday?
Yep.
Third Thursday of every month at Bug Nutty Brewing Company
Nice.
in Merritt Island.
And
It's all
Bug
on,
Nutty. Bug Nutty is the
their
sponsor.
website.
Bug Nutty is a sponsor of our 777 event over at Village Idiot Pub. They're giving us a barrel full of beer. So
Indeed
thank you.
they
I heard
are.
about that,
Thank you,
yeah.
Bug Nutty.
Amy, you going to make it for our live event on July 7th?
Fly down.
Probably not, because I will be driving to Tucson that day.
Well, we're just a little bit out of the way.
Oh, trip.
Yeah, just take a right where you would normally take a left and
Right,
drive
keep
for
going.
You can
4
It
days.
is.
Yeah, you don't need to go to
Go
that.
for 4 days.
Yep,
Yes.
exactly. And then, of course, Marilyn Costa, thank you so much for coming in with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate it. Yeah, rookie. Marilyn also is starting a stand-up comedy career here in Central Florida and has already been up to open mics down in Melbourne a couple of times,
Quite a few
right?
times, yeah.
And then she also did, it was adorable, she did a graduation video, or no, a video from the high school that she just graduated from, where it's like a talent contest.
Yeah, I lost.
You lost? Really?
I did.
Oh, great. Good job, Adam.
Oh. Well, but
Way to destroy the
still a good
millennial
bit.
teenager.
It was a good set. I'm just
No, this kid that was like a piano like prodigy one. I was like, how are my stupid jokes gonna like?
How do you compete with a
How would I
prodigy?
win? Yeah.
No kidding.
You didn't have the passion like Amy does. That's the problem.
Are you doing any
Get
stand-up?
nerdy all the time.
Right?
Are you doing stand-up
It's a
here
secret passion.
anytime soon in the area?
I think maybe the 24th at Open Mics, Florida Discount Music.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's about
All
it.
right.
All right. Well, very
Yeah.
cool.
All right. And if you want to follow the Twisted 10, you can follow us on Twitter at the Twisted 10.
Right? Or shoot us an email to the show. God damn it, I did it again.
The other show.
The other show. Send us an email to thetwisted10@gmail.com.
Indeed. And of course, you can follow us on the YouTube channel as well, which is the Academy Media. What?
On
the
the
YouTubes.
YouTube.
You did the
I say
YouTubes
the
with me.
YouTube too. Words are hard. See, Amy, words are hard.
Words are hard. I get it. I'm with you.
Just go to the YouTube channel. It's
Dichotomy Media.
the Academy Media LLC podcast.
Yeah.
So you got all the shows there. We also do a cartoon, Amy. It's called Get Out Penny. It's another thing that we produce. You should go check it out.
It's a fun little project.
It's a fun project.
But hey, before we disconnect with you though, can we all take a selfie with you and kind of hover around? All you'll see is our butts, but you're going to be in our selfie picture. Okay.
Don't want to pitch.
All right,
don't look so excited when I say
Sounds
butts.
good.
Yeah. So I'm gonna
fear excitement.
Nice.
It's a new word. All right, well, I guess that's it for tonight. Amy, thank you so much. You did an awesome job. Fantastic list.
Awesome list.
Loved it.
Super interesting.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me and letting me get all nerdy on your show, guys. This is fun.
Yes, definitely.
We're getting nerdy.
All right, so for the Twisted 10, I'm Tach.
I'm Adam.
I'm Ray.
And I'm Marilyn.
I'm Amy.
Was that a question? It sounded like a question.
Well, that's because she's Canadian.
I already said my goodbye bit. I thought I was done.
That's all right. Well, she's Canadian. Everything
goodbye,
Canadians
Ken.
say sound like questions. So
That's a bear? Eh?
don't
Like,
do
that was the best Canadian I
Don't do
got.
that. All right. Well, have a good week, everybody. We will see you next week. Wait. Don't hit stop on the episode just yet. Hey, this is Tach from the podcast you just listened to. And if you enjoy living podcariously or the Twisted 10, then you're going to love my new podcast I co-host with my lifelong buddy, Ron Caniff. It's called You're 40, Now What? It's about the trials and tribulations of turning 40 and just getting through life. So check it out on iTunes, Google Play Music, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. Thanks. Now go give someone a mouth hug.